I never thought I'd be making a video about Canada becoming a US state, but here we are. Trump's latest controversial proposal has left many scratching their heads, but is there more to this than just another outrageous statement? So, what exactly is Trump proposing? In essence, he's suggesting that Canada should become the 51st state of the United States. Now, this isn't just a random thought, it's part of a larger narrative Trump has been pushing about America's relationship with its northern neighbor. Trump's rhetoric often paints Canada as taking advantage of the US, particularly in terms of trade. He's claimed that the trade deficit with Canada is costing America billions, and that by making Canada a state, these issues would disappear overnight. It's a bold claim, to say the least. At the heart of Trump's proposal is a focus on economics. He's repeatedly emphasized the US trade deficit with Canada, claiming it amounts to hundreds of billions in subsidies. The reality is, trade deficits are more complicated than Trump makes them out to be. They're not simply a scorecard of who's winning or losing in trade. Trump argues that the US doesn't need Canadian resources like lumber, automobiles, or energy, as America is self-sufficient in these areas. By proposing statehood, he suggests that tariffs would no longer be necessary, as trade barriers would disappear under a unified economic system. But it's not just about economics. Trump has also cited national security as a reason for his annexation rhetoric. He claims that Canada hasn't done enough to stop the flow of illicit drugs like fentanyl across the US-Canada border. There's also a military angle to this. Trump has framed the idea of Canada becoming a state as a way to strengthen military protection for Canadians. It's an interesting argument, considering Canada is already a NATO ally and works closely with the US on defense matters. But in Trump's view, full integration would provide even better defense capabilities. Trump's proposal fits into a broader geopolitical vision, reminiscent of historical US territorial expansion. It's not just about Canada. Trump has also expressed interest in acquiring Greenland and regaining control of the Panama Canal. These moves are seen by many as attempts to revive a form of American imperialism. Trump's suggested using economic force to pressure Canada into considering statehood, a 21st century twist on gunboat diplomacy. Some analysts argue that Trump's suggestion is more about US politics than international relations. By making bold and controversial statements, he may be seeking to rally his base and reinforce his image as a strong leader. This kind of rhetoric plays well with certain segments of the American electorate, but it's a risky strategy that could alienate moderates and international allies. Trump's proposal might be a negotiation tactic. By framing the issue in extreme terms, he could be attempting to extract more favorable terms from Canadian leaders. It's a classic Trump move: start with an outrageous position and then negotiate from there. It's a high-stakes game of political and economic chicken, with the US-Canada relationship hanging in the balance. As you might expect, the reaction from Canada has been less than enthusiastic. The idea of Canada becoming a state is highly unpopular among Canadians, with polls showing that about 80% would oppose such a move.
Canada is committed to cooperation with the US while firmly maintaining our sovereignty.
Trump's ideas are absurd and offensive to Canadians.
This proposal is a direct threat to our national sovereignty.
Despite Trump's claims, the economic reality of US-Canada relations is far more complex. The two countries have one of the world's largest trading relationships, with a daily cross-border flow of goods, services, and people that's crucial to both economies. Canada is the largest export market for the US, and Canadian companies employ millions of American workers. Disrupting this relationship could have severe consequences for both countries. The interconnectedness of the US and Canadian economies means that any major change would have far-reaching and unpredictable effects. Even if Trump's proposal is just rhetoric, experts worry about the long-term damage it could do to US-Canada relations. Trust is a crucial component of international relations, and statements like these can erode that trust over time. It could lead to a cooling of diplomatic relations, decreased cooperation on important issues, and a general souring of the goodwill between the two nations. This could potentially weaken America's global standing and influence, which, ironically, goes against Trump's America First agenda. In the end, Trump's proposal for Canada to become the 51st state is a mix of economic ambitions, strategic calculation, and political showmanship. As for Canada, well, they seem pretty content with their current arrangement, maple leaf flag and all.